You should be getting on TikTok Live because that's going to put you in front of a global audience. Live streaming is really, it's here and it's here to stay. If you're not even testing TikTok ads, yes, there will be this big, massive process of what content works and what doesn't, and all that. If you're not doing that, then you're missing a trick there.
That's it. Welcome back to another episode of the Ultimate Marketing Podcast. This is a podcast that basically shares with you trends, techniques, tips that you should be using today in your marketing if you are a business owner, professional, entrepreneur, etc. So I'm here with my co-host, as always, the lovely Sarah Cox.
Hi, everyone.
And of course, the very, very suave Bish Baba.
You had to look for a word there because you went lovely Sarah Cox, and I was like, what is she going to use to describe me today?
I didn't know whether I wasn't sure whether I was in the kind of like, let's take the piss stage, or should I just say something nice?
I think suave, debonair, words of those kind of like,
suave,
love it. So thank you very much for that. Thanks for that amazing introduction.
Before we introduce our guest for this episode, which you're going to be very excited about.
I'm excited.
You're very excited.
Always.
Just a reminder of where to find us. We are on all major podcast platforms, so Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. We're also on YouTube. So if you don't just want to hear us, but you want to see us, then search for the Ultimate Marketing Podcast on YouTube. Click the subscribe and follow button on all of those platforms, and also click the bell on YouTube.
Ring the bell.
Make sure. And also share with your friends, with your business colleagues, with your fellow entrepreneurs, so that they also get the nuggets that we and our guests bring to you every month. Well, more than once a month, clearly. Yeah. Right, so let me tell you about today's guest. I don't know him that well, but this individual has been a game changer in the world of digital marketing. He started out in the world of SEO and social content, and actually winning or being listed in the top 50 drum of 30 under 30 most talented individuals in digital marketing. Then he started his own business. He worked for one of the largest ad agencies, and eventually went into creating his own agency. And he's now the owner of Gravitas Q, which is and has pivoted to being the one and only, when I say best, the one and only best, I mean the best live streaming agency. And they are official partners with TikTok. And over the last year, they've put so much work into that live streaming side that they actually picked up an award not too long ago. So they picked up the award for the most innovative, pioneering streaming agency by TikTok at the European TikTok Awards. So it gives me great pleasure and love to actually introduce my brother, Dipesh Pattni.
Thank you.
What is
it's weird, Gillette? Like when people introduce you and they say all these nice things, I always feel really uncomfortable.
Oh,
but I bet it makes a change hearing it from Danita, doesn't it? Actually, say something nice about you.
True, exactly right. But I'm always really uncomfortable when people give good introductions. That was pretty good. I'll give you that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we are one of the leading live streaming agencies, award winning now, which is fantastic, and we've changed a lot of lives as well. I always like that bit more because, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, because like live streaming is really, it's here and it's here to stay.
Yeah.
And there are people like, it's going to die off, or nobody's going to get into that, but the numbers don't lie at the end of the day. And if I look back at my career, like when I started in SEO, it was like this kind of almost dark art, which people just like, you couldn't talk about it at barbecues, right? Like, which people are living? Well, I do SEO. And actually, to be fair, some people would be really interested because they'd be like, wow, I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's other things where you just kind of, you start reverting to, I work in digital marketing just because I don't want to have to explain it to everybody. But over the years, I've seen so many different industries kind of emerge, and I've always been in emerging markets where everybody else doesn't believe it, but I do, and there's a small amount of us that do believe it, and I think live streaming is one of them as well. You only have to look at Asia or China to see capability of live streaming and where it is now, because they're like 5 years ahead of us.
Yeah. And and talking about emerging markets, Dipesh, you're somebody, and I'm not just saying this because you're my brother, but obviously, as a fellow entrepreneur, there is so much I learn from you. But you have always been somebody who has stayed ahead of the curve, haven't you? In terms of, and that's why your agency has always changed and evolved with the times. So that is something that you've always been interested, because you've even been self-taught. In fact, the way you got into live streaming, into digital marketing, was because of your own sort of interest and passion, wasn't it? Tell us a little bit about that.
When I wanted to get into SEO when I was young. Denise will remember this because I had a very tough time at the start of my career. Like, I was in sales. It was 2007, all the Lehman Brothers crash and all that stuff. And I just wasn't happy in the job I was in, so I quit. And I seem to have a knack for this, where I just say, I'm not doing this. Every day you're catching the train home, and in the tube, there was this poster, and I have to see it every day, right? And it'd be like, what did it say? If you don't like your life, change it. And every day I'd leave work really unhappy, and I'd see that blimmin' poster. And then one day I was just like, sorry, I'm going to change it. And I quit my job without a job to go to during a recession. Like, that's a very idiotic move to anybody thinking that was genius. It's not genius, it's dumb, right? Yeah, that's a very silly thing to do, because I ended up out of work for a very long time. And I'm frustrated too, because I was going to a lot of interviews to do sales again, and nobody wanted salespeople in a recession. It was like I'd go interview after interview, and what would happen is they'd say, "Oh, this is a fantastic interview. They'd love to hire me," but then a week later, I'd get a call and it'd be like, "Recruitment freeze, recruitment freeze," and it started getting to the point where, like, it started feeling like it was me, not the market or anything. It's like, oh my God, I've done so many interviews now and I'm losing here. And it did genuinely feel like it was me, because eventually you get rejected so many times. And I can persevere through rejection. I actually don't mind rejection. But I remember that time was particularly hard, because it's like, no matter what I tried, how hard I tried, there was no winning, right? And that led me into kind of, I remember coming across SEO in university as something I was interested in. So I was like, sorry, do you know what? Like, even with SEO job, I couldn't get an SEO job. Nobody would even give me a grad opportunity. So I was like, sorry, I want to start an agency. And we started an agency. And yeah, I mean, that agency, I was still very young. So there's lots of things I didn't know about business. And so, when I look back at that agency, it failed, and it failed for good reasons. But we still had a few clients, and, that really allowed me to learn SEO and become very good at it, because I was doing it for smaller clients. I was also doing it for our smaller website. So when I went into that, it was that kind of business that led me to getting a job at an agency, because they wanted a freelancer. So I applied there, but then they said, oh, actually, it's a full-time role now. Do you want you're very good. Do you want the role? After having an interview, but they quizzed me on SEO in that interview, and I knew more than actually most of the people that worked at that company, and it was one of the biggest ad agencies in the world. So, all of that kind of led, and built up to me becoming a very good SEO, because I had to self-teach myself. And I did have friends who taught me stuff as well. So I can't say I was completely self-taught. They did send me in the right direction. But it didn't make, that's where my career really exploded after I went to the ad agency. But emerging markets is really interesting, because nobody else takes note of it until, you have to have foresight to know that this is potentially going to be big. And I can think of so many examples, even when I was in the media agency, where I'd come along, I'd be like, look, there's this native content product, and nobody's interested in it. And it's like, I don't understand why nobody's interested in this native content. It's a way of amplifying organic content, in a paid format. Like, why would nobody be interested in that? Surely that's genius, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I've got a friend who sold his native content company now for over £100 million. So, and like he was a supplier of ours who I became very good friends with over the years. But, it takes a while, but the clients do start buying into it afterwards.
Yeah.
You just got to keep, it's that perseverance and knocking away and keeping it on the plan, saying, guys, we want you to test this. We want you to test this product. It was the same thing with conversion rate optimization as well, like CRO. We were trying to sell it to clients. Nobody was buying. In the end, I think there was Warner Brothers Studio Tours ended up buying CRO from us, one of the first clients. And actually what they wanted it for was something completely different to what CRO was made for. It was made to help you increase sales, right, on your website. They wanted it to figure out whether putting a calendar on their site will reduce the number of phone calls that Harry Potter Studio Tour gets about ticket information. And I know it's funny, but actually it was our first big case study because their calls, literally, they were getting hundreds of calls a day. And by us designing a nice calendar, putting it on a page, it led them to getting 4 calls a day. And, that's a whole person that's now been reduced. Like, that's a whole massive resource that is unneeded for something that really it should be available online. But yeah, I mean,
you think about Warner Brothers Harry Potter Studio, you can't get a booking in there, for Hell or Come Water, basically for months.
Yeah, they're normally sold
in advance.
Yeah, for the summer, like the job would be done by Christmas. Like they could literally not have to do any more marketing if they didn't want to, because everything's sold out, right? Like months in advance. But
so how did the push come then? Like, when you talk about emerging markets, how did the whole live streaming and TikTok element come around? Because obviously when you started Gravitas Q, it was a performance marketing agency. Where it was with Google ads and Facebook ads and all of that kind of stuff. How did the switch happen?
Okay, so we still
only because I know these two are dying to ask you questions about TikTok now.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. Okay, so the pivot happened because there's a few things that was emerging into the market, and I didn't like it. Right. The first is that we still do Google ads and stuff like that for clients, but we really take on very specific projects now. We don't even do any business like development. Like if anything comes to us and we like it, we'll take it. But the reason the pivot came is because I didn't like. There's a few things I don't like, and there's going to be people that don't like me for saying it as well. I don't care. It is the truth, right? Is that the agencies are being ruined to a degree, and I'll explain why. As in the agency industry is being ruined in a big way, because what you have is you have people teaching others how to start an agency, right? And they're teaching them how to get leads and how to sell your services in, and then how you can how you can get somebody else to deliver it, or all of that sort of stuff. But the truth is that doesn't build sellable agencies. You can't sell that. You're actually just building a small cash flow pipeline, right? But also what happens is that, and what I noticed was that there's a lot of people starting agencies that don't have the experience to start an agency, right? The client management part is a really crucial part. And if you don't know how to do that well, you're going to have a lot of unhappy clients. And I was seeing that happening a lot because we were seeing a lot of clients coming to us and they've been burnt. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the ads that the other company did was bad or anything. A lot of the time it came down to just not servicing the clients correctly. But also we were coming across a lot of agencies that were saying, yeah, we're going to do this for you, that for you. And then by the time when you look at their Facebook account, all that's been set up as a retargeting campaign, right? And what that's actually doing to the agency industry is actually ruin it, because the more clients that get burnt in this industry, the worse it's going the worse the name agency is becoming. And it's already happened now, right? People don't trust agencies the way they used to. Agencies should be experts in their field. And if there's a trust problem, then that's an issue. So that was a big reason for me to start looking at Pivot. Another reason I was looking at Pivot is that I saw that leads were slowing down, and it wasn't slowing down because of activity. It was slowing down because of, and this is where they say businesses do see a recession coming first. We saw leads slowing down simply because money was being pulled from the market, so less spend. So that was another reason we're looking for a pivot. Now, the pivot obviously came where TikTok contacted us and said, look, we've got this agency program. Do you want to have a look at it? And we had to look at it. I spent 2 weeks on TikTok Live. I didn't know anything about TikTok Live before this, right? I was like, I don't really understand how this agency program works. So after 22 weeks of running 2,000 hours or something crazy like that on Live, I went back to TikTok and I said, right, we're ready. We want to take part in this program. And, I think all that experience I've had over the years have allowed me to dissect TikTok Live quite quickly, but we're still on a learning curve now. We're still learning all the time with TikTok Live because we don't know everything yet, and I don't think anybody does. And we're learning how kind of things work. But that's how the pivot happened, essentially. And we said that, okay, we want to get into a field that's future-facing. This field is becoming very saturated. The Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, like there's so many agencies popping up. And what protections do we have? We don't. Like anybody can launch that agency. Yeah. You can't just launch a TikTok Live agency though. It's, so we wanted to create a barrier that kept us protected from competition, that kept us protected from saturation almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
How have you done that then? So sorry, how have you built that protection around your business?
Well, like there's a few things, right? Like TikTok Live, for example, you can't do that unless you have the contract to do that. So that's very big. That's a very big protection there. Even if you were to get the contract, like it's not easy. Like we've scaled, we've brought in a partner as well, Ben Toy, who's a very big influencer of TikTok Live. And together we've managed to kind of build this market up and really solidify our brand in this place. And, when you build a brand, that can really create more protections around you because people think of you first. So, there's key things, you've got a contract in place. We have more staff in the TikTok live streaming game than we had as an agency. And again, that's more protections because to do it well and to grow creators the right way, you need a bigger team than what we had in place before, right? It doesn't mean less profit margins and things like that. Yes, it does. But by building that around your business, employees, building people really dedicated, and I don't mean freelancers or contractors, I mean full-time staff, right? That creates protections on its own. And this is the other thing why when I meet other agencies and they're like, no, I want to give this to that contract, I want to give that to that freelancer. Actually, it's bad business practice. Yes, it will give you higher profits in the short term, and maybe that's what you need until you can get your business to a certain place where you can bring in staff. But actually, in the long run, you're building something that is just not sustainable. And the truth is contractors are not loyal to your business. They are and that's no offense to contractors in any way, because, not all, some contractors are very loyal to business. Like we have one, Rob, in our team who is very loyal when, he really has my back when I need him. But in most cases, contractors are their own business. So they are to very much a degree loyal to their business, right? And what commitment are you giving them anyway that makes them loyal to you? Because, they're not guaranteed money from you, right?
Yeah.
For our listeners, Dips, can you just explain a little bit about what you actually do as a TikTok live streaming agency? Because I think they'll want to know that,
So what we do, there's a lot of people moving to live streaming, even like other platforms. That there are other platforms like Twitch and places like that. What TikTok Live has done very well is created the ability to earn money on TikTok Live without needing a brand deal. And that's really important for the creator economy, because influencers, traditionally, they can only do well if they get brand deals, right? Without the brand deal or without products to promote, it makes it very difficult for them. TikTok Live allows something called gifting to take place. They run something called battles. They, if you're a singer, you can get gifted essentially. And that is generating a lot of income for TikTok Live creators. So what we do is we know what the best practices are to be successful on live streaming. The other thing is with our partnership with TikTok, we can get opportunities that a live streamer who's doing it alone can't get, right? And so what we do is we will bring I'll give you an example. We brought a busker in, right? This busker, he's excellent. To be honest, he's in Panto season in December, but like over the last 3 months, he's grown by more than 100%, right? I can't remember the stats off the top of my head. I've got the case study somewhere, but one of the months is over 200 or something. But he's grown, just in 3 months, he's grown incredibly, making probably over $2,500 on TikTok Live in a single month.
Wow.
And do you know what? In January, I reckon we'll have about 5K as well, right? But he used to stand outside busking, and this guy's excellent. I'm not even joking. Like when we saw his videos, we were just like, we have to sign him because we can help this guy. But he told us that, he goes, I stand outside in the rain some days and I'm lucky to get 20 quid, right? So, that in itself is, what we've done is we've put him in front of a global audience. We've actually changed his life now, right? Because he doesn't have to stand outside busking in the rain. And he used to tell me, he goes, the bin men come and tell me to move, right? And he goes, it's not even just the police coming to tell me to move. It's like the bin men are coming telling me I can't sing here and things like that. So, what we've been able to do is give this guy a career with the talent that he's got. And now he's running a global audience, right? Whether you're in the US, Canada, Indonesia, it doesn't matter where you are, you can watch him and he can really perform for you and he can earn an income from it. And so his life has been changed.
How does he earn an income from being on TikTok? So how does he monetize his talent?
Gifting. So if you go on TikTok Live, the audience can send you a gift.
Oh, lovely.
That gift, that gift can be anything from like 1 cent to all the way up to $450.
Facebook used to have something called supporter stars, and you could gift people stars on Facebook, Sarah. And so this has the same sort of concept, but larger, much larger.
Yeah.
And it's way more established than Facebook as well. Like Facebook stars was like, let's just try something. But I think TikTok's got more monthly active users than Facebook as well. It's like 1.1 billion or something, isn't it?
It's nuts, mate.
It's nuts, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously I know Dips as well. Dips is a good mate of mine. And, Dips... but by the way, the stuff that his agency does is absolutely fucking awesome, right? I've seen the way that they grew my account overnight. Like literally, the growth was insane. You're laughing about it, but I was sat at my mate's restaurant. We had a lock-in, and I was like, right, I can't look at my TikTok account. Can you guys just keep refreshing my page? And the numbers grew. That literally every 5 minutes they're refreshing the page. Numbers are going up and up and up. And I started off doing the live streaming with Dips as well, and it gathered a lot of momentum. But due to technical issues from my side with the sound and it not streaming properly, I've had to take a break. Like I've had to lock it off for the year. But having the conversation with Dips whenever the time is right again. But I've seen the stuff that his agency are doing, and it's amazing because they guide you, right? So sorry, I sound like a bit of a sales process here for you, bro.
You've been in it as a creator, right? You've been in it more side, right? So
as the other side of what I do, the creative side of what I do, which is DJing, right? And I've seen the way that you guys support people from either little knowledge or a little bit of working knowledge, zero knowledge, all the way up. And you've literally taken people from having, that level of understanding to them now, consistently streaming at a high quality stream, to then actually engaging with their user, to then go, actually, we're going to get X amount per stream. And they've almost got it. You almost got down to a science, right? And that's not what I wanted to touch on. I see what you do is really valuable, but the biggest thing that you guys have got, which I don't think any other agency has got in the UK or possibly worldwide, is insights into what the trends are before they happen, right? Because you work as a partner agency with TikTok, you're an authorized partner agency for them. What kind of information do you have access to? And I suppose the question I'm really asking is trends 2024, 2025, 2026, and beyond. What do we have to look forward to as an upward trajectory that's going to happen on TikTok that people are like, when they hear it, they'll be like, what the fuck? Like, really? Like, that's the growth. That's the potential, right?
Okay, yeah. So, all right, I'll tell you the future of
Yeah.
the future is essentially like, so e-com is one of them, right? Right now, you can, like, TikTok Shop has launched. TikTok Shop has just really got started, right? And you're going to see a lot more live streams, like it's the QVC channel or something,
Wow.
where these guys are live streaming, selling their products. You're to buy a product, like literally click of a button off the TikTok platform.
Wow.
And as more trust comes in the e-com market or in the consumer market from buying from like TikTok, and as the logistics get better, I think the logistics already, to be honest, they're already improving. But as those logistics get better, there's a reason why people like Amazon are launching their own live streaming product, because they are very scared of TikTok's, one, their knowledge in e-com and live streaming, but two, they've already got a roadmap, mate. Do you mean?
Yeah.
So, right, like given that they're so advanced in China, and like the roadmap's there already, they know what works, what doesn't. So, I think that's where they probably have a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
But e-com is definitely going to be one of the areas where you're going to see more growth. And it's not just live streams. You'll be able to sell from your posts that you create as well. You'll be able to attach. You can already do this now. You can attach products to it, and you can sell products. And some products really do take off already. But I think there's still a bit more time before that really gets going.
Yeah.
So we're much more on the entertainment, and e-com is something we're going to be looking at later next year. Simply because we're just in a lot of markets and we want to focus on the entertainment side. But the entertainment side, you're going to see much better productions than what you see now. The production value and even like the quality of the live streams you see are going to get much better. At the minute, like in this market, in the UK market, we're really teaching some basics. And as much as a lot of our creators implement it, so many of our creators don't. And that's a problem because, we're just teaching them something basic like user ring light and background lighting to make your stream look better. So when somebody sees you, they're more likely to click on you and watch your stream. Now, this is very basic information. That's one of the first tips we give you, right? Obviously, it gets more advanced as we get through the program, but getting somebody off that hurdle sometimes is frustratingly too much work.
Yeah.
Because, and we see it in the UK more, simply because UK is just behind on the streaming front. In the US, like if you go and scroll some US creators, you see that's just standard. Like that's standard. They know that I need to look like a professional streamer. Whereas we, in the UK, we're still teaching him that little bit of information and try to get people over the line with that. But it gets much more as we get further into the training program, that's when the real kind of magic happens, where we teach people how to start building themselves up as influencers, build their communities and all sorts of stuff like that. And, without there is a stat where a live streamer is part of the agency program versus one that decides not to join an agency. Like somebody who joins an agency grows 17 times faster, which is an amazing stat. And given that actually at the minute we're offering this service for free, is incredible, right? Like it means that it's open to all.
That was my first question to you. You remember, like, when we had that conversation, you were like, "This is what we can do for you," and I was like, "Yeah." So what's in it for you, Dips? You're like, "Nothing." I did, like, we partner with TikTok. That's why we're able to offer it for free, because we're actually a partner. Whereas a lot of other agencies aren't able to do that, and they might claim they partner, but they don't. And they don't have the insights, they don't have the knowledge, and the know-how to do that. So I think that's really, really important to bear in mind. In terms of so you said like production values, like gaining in the trust factor and like the production value being raised, like where do you see that going? Like, is that going to be very tech heavy? Are we talking like green screen studios? Like what, because I think that's the question for people. Like, I think a hurdle for the people in the UK is getting onto like having a light in the background, having a fill light from the front. But are people going to have to invest a lot more in tech? Is that what's going to be needed to become a higher rated earner?
Well, it's not necessarily, and this is where the agencies come in because they will help with that. So agencies, for example, will have studios next year. There'll be agencies will have studios next year. When we talk about production value, we try to actually go away from green screen and actually make, like imagine behind me, you've got like disco lights and you've got like, what you'd see out at a set up at a nightclub or somewhere like that, right? Or even like if you're watching X Factor and you see, the smoke coming out of the back and all of that stuff, you're going to start seeing all of that stuff coming further down the line for, especially talent-based creators, but also like, you're going to see much stronger quality of like cameras being used.
Yep.
Those cameras are going to have the ability to zoom in, zoom out, and do all sorts of different things in the live. And that in China, a lot of streamers actually use something called Live Studio, and they rely on that to stream rather than the normal just go live on your phone.
Yeah.
And if you've seen Live Studio has been getting developed more here, and it's now you have the ability to battle on Live Studio. There's a lot more other things you can do. So, TikTok is developing all those ends. So and to be fair to them, they move quite fast with it. So I would back their live product, over any other at this point.
Yeah. If you're like a business owner, where you've got a service or product to sell, and you quite haven't got into the live streaming, like what advice would you give those individuals right now, in terms of live streaming and using that as a way to promote, sell, increase their credibility, etc.?
In all honesty, if I'm a business, I have a business, but like, depending on what I'm selling will be dependent on how I would do it. Like, I do think that all businesses need to at least start doing short form posts, video posts, right? There's no
On
rush.
TikTok specifically, right?
Yeah, there's no rush to start going live for businesses from a business perspective just yet, unless you're an e-com brand, right? That's different, right? If you're e-com brand, that's what you should be testing right now. And you might not see the results you want, but you want to start figuring it out. If you're more of a service-led company, I don't think that live is going to change your business. So I wouldn't be like, okay, I need to go live and sell TikTok ads to people or anything like that, right? Because I just think that you're wasting your time a little bit in sense of what is the return versus time spent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With that stuff, you're kind of better off sticking to more traditional channels for now, short form posts. Content creation is really still like really key, I think, for agencies. I mean, if you go on our TikTok account, like you'll see we create a lot of content, right? And it's for live streamers, but we've thought about doing it for other services as well. Every agency or every business should really just be focused on that content production stage, because a TikTok post can go viral even if you only got 1,000 followers. And this is really crucial, right? Is if you create a very good post, regardless of how many followers you have, that post can go viral. So why are you sitting there on Instagram every day, right, with 600 followers, posting content after content and not testing TikTok? That's just insane, right? Because the algorithm works so different. TikTok is trying to push your content out based on engagement and engagement and essentially view time. Yeah, what is the retention of somebody staying on your post? Right? Those metrics are in your favor, right? Whereas the metrics and the algorithm you're up against on Instagram is truly just not in your favor.
Yeah.
It's not in your favor as a small business now. Many years ago, yeah, it was. It's like a YouTube channel, right? Like a YouTube channel, you can still do well now, but you know how hard it is versus before. You have to be much more niche with it, and you got to put so much more effort into it, into your production. It's much more expensive to do. And so with TikTok right now, it's easy because creating a post of you talking in the camera really doesn't take very long. And short form content is consumable. It reaches a lot more people. One post, I tell you what, even a bad post on TikTok will probably get you about 500 to 900 views. That's still 500 to 900 views more than you would have had without a rubbish post, right? That's without following any best practice.
Yeah.
So as a business, I think you should be posting more. I don't think TikTok Live, I have had some business come to me about TikTok Live, and I don't know whether they see the reluctance on my face because I don't want to deter them from live streaming. I just don't think it's the right time to be live streaming, because to do live streaming well, you kind of want to be doing this, 15, 20 days a month. And that's how you keep your audience and your retention and keep building and things like that. So unless you've got a lot of resource and you can hire a streamer to do that every day for you, then I wouldn't bank on that being the next place where you're going to drive loads of business from.
Yeah.
Would you still recommend business owners are on TikTok though, even if they're not doing the live streaming? So would you still recommend people jump on there to grow their followers?
Yeah, absolutely. Lead gen is actually pretty good on TikTok Live. Not TikTok Live, on TikTok ads. Lead gen is like, right. So this is the difference. On Facebook, without getting too technical, the CPM is what, 15 to 20 pounds, right? So that's the cost of 1,000 people seeing your ad, right? And that cost is heavily dependent on what your lead cost is going to be, right? It's the first metric that as expert would look at. I've got CPN like on TikTok Live of about £3 versus 15 to 20. So if you're not doing TikTok, like if you're not even testing TikTok ads, yes, there will be this big, massive process of what content works and what doesn't, and all that. But that's good. It's 3 times cheaper at the minute, and with good content, even more, 5, 6 times cheaper. So if you're not doing that, then you're missing a trick there. The other thing is TikTok has things like Creator Marketplace as well, and you can actually do deals with other creators on there, and you can run ads in conjunction with an influencer, and they'll happily do it with you. So then that's another way to get your product out there. So for me, it really does fall in the growth hacking stage right now.
Yeah.
Like if you're a new business, you can go on Facebook ads, and you will get leads. There's nothing wrong with the Facebook platform. I think it still delivers leads. I think it still delivers leads effectively. If you're a new business and your budgets are lower, and your product is TikTokable to a degree, or your audience is there, which most audiences are now, then you should definitely be investigating that as, let's see what the quality is, right? We did a campaign for a rehab center as well on there, and we actually we did it in conjunction with an influencer. So we got an influencer that's well known for having been to rehab, and we got him to make our videos for us for the ads. And I think that the leads were coming in at something like £8 a lead, and the conversion rate was just ridiculous. I don't remember what the CPM was now, but the one main thing that I really took notice of in that campaign was that we were getting hold of everybody that that filled in the lead form, because we didn't use a landing page for it. We used the lead form, and the quality was so high that everybody was picking up the phone.
Wow.
I was just like,
that's the holy grail of marketing, that is.
That's what you want, isn't it?
That is the holy grail of marketing.
That's my frustration with Facebook lead forms, is that how many people can you actually get hold of, right? You may as well just run a funnel, right? Because, okay, it's going to be more expensive in some cases, but at least you get hold of people, right?
Yeah.
But with the lead forms on Facebook, that was my biggest concern with the TikTok lead form. I was like, is there going to be a good contact rate on this, right? And I think the contact, it wasn't everybody, but I think the contact rate was something like 1 in 3. And I'll take that as a marketer any day.
Yeah.
No.
Especially because like recently I did and Dips knows about this. I ran some Facebook ads and I read them in last year, at the end of last year, so end of 2023, and I got something like 60 leads. Out of that, probably 5 people responded to a text message, an email, qualifying question, and these are people who had put like answered all of the questions as you want them to. And I think I spoke to 2 people out of 60. And just so you know, no one signed up.
Crazy, isn't it?
So, and it wasn't even a high-end product. You know what I mean? It wasn't even high
It was
investment
low
product.
ticket. Yeah, it was low ticket, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and I think, and you know, obviously previously I've run ads and you know, different types of ads, but like you said, going to a funnel, Dipesh, you know, it's worked better. So yeah, it definitely makes a difference. And I think, you know, would you say TikTok at the moment, you know, you're at the kind of early adopter stage, so get in there right now before it becomes or early majority stage before you end up losing, it becomes too competitive.
I would say it's at the early majority. I've seen the algorithm change just in the last kind of 18 months. Like you could draw a lot more views from a simpler post before, especially the 15-second post. Like now it's better to actually have a 1-minute post because they're prioritizing longer form content at the minute.
Yeah.
And you'll get more views from it as well.
And you can do 10-minute posts now on there as well, can't you?
Yeah. You know, I think it's because they're trying to compete with YouTube as well. And like the short form definitely has a role to play, but they definitely want more longer form content on there. But I would say it's early majority because, you know, I think that when they changed that algorithm and it became a bit harder to get views, we had to put a bit more work into, right, how can we get more views out of our posts? I feel like that was the bit where they're saying, actually, there's quite a few of you now, right? Yeah. So, you know, the algorithm is going to change and it will get harder and harder. So early majority is now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's also a good thing as well, because it then forces people to create content that's better, that will get the engagement, and then the algorithm picks it up and goes, right, this is actually getting good engagement. It is organic. Let's push that out. And I think, you know, you probably attest to the same, bro. Like it's better to raise the bar. You need to raise the bar at a certain point. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of tests as well right now. Like not just like what we'll do. Like one really interesting test that we've done is we took all of our posts from all of our organic posts and we stuck them on ads, right? And we ran follower tests and we ran conversion tests as well to see what our audience. We knew our audience was, so we'd already nailed the audience down, but we wanted to see what is actually making our audience sign up or what is making them want to follow us. And you know, like it's a quite inexpensive test for a brand to do or a business to do. Is like, you know what, I'm going to spend 500 quid and I'm going to find out what actually makes people like us.
Yeah.
And you know, what is that bit that really they want that makes them sign up, right? And so we understand very well what a live streamer wants. Like we just know it in detail, but you know, doing tests like that as a business, that's how you're going to scale now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think you can get away with the old school methodology of, oh, you know, as long as I do 3 posts a day, everything's going to be all right. It's not. Yeah, you be analytical in what your approach is.
Yeah. Again, it goes back to that whole thing that we always talk about, right, guys? Like what gets measured gets improved. You got to use the analytics to your advantage. So, before we do our quick fire round, Dipesh, because we're coming up to the end of this episode, what advice, like especially when it comes to the future of TikTok? So, what advice? Because you said about the live streaming, we're about 5 years kind of behind, you know, China, Asia, and we're also behind America as well, aren't we? We're behind them too. And I know that as a partner agency, Gravitas Q, you've not only got the UK region, you've got US, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. So to those listening, because obviously we'll have a global audience, what advice would you have on, you know, what people should be doing to help catch up?
Okay, this is really simple. Like, I mean, this just sounds like a plug anyway. If you're a singer or you're a busker or, you know, you've got talent, then you should be getting on TikTok Live, right? Yes, as an agency, we do it for free. We can train you, can help you, but I mean, you still have to follow the training. That's a really important part, right? But you should be getting on TikTok Live because that's going to put you in front of a global audience, right? And or you're going to reach a much bigger audience than you can from anywhere else, right? Because even TikTok live streams work on the basis that if I come to your live and I stay, I'm being retained, right? And you are entertaining me, then they'll push your live out even more, right? Because they'll be like, hold on, people like this live. So then they push your live out even more. So, you should get yourself in an agency while it's free, because I don't think it's going to be free forever. You should get on now, because now is basically where live isn't as competitive as it will become, right? And even gamers are making small subscription money from places like Twitch and other platforms. They're not making hardly anything. We got gamers making $5,000 a month, right? So if you're a gamer and you need a streaming key or whatever, like, we can help you get all of that stuff at the agency as well. So get yourself in these programs, because these programs have been created by TikTok so that, like, everybody has a chance to get information, get training, get all of this stuff for free, right? Obviously, it benefits TikTok, because the more streamers that come and the better they do it, the more money they make, the more money TikTok's going to make, right? Yeah, it's just, but the way I look at it is that it's a win-win-win all the way around. Like, everybody's winning here. And so, if you're somebody that's got talent, or you're a gamer, or you're somebody that streams, you need to make the switch, because you can earn yourself a lot more money doing this, if you do it the right way, than any other streaming platform.
And actually doing what you love as well, right? Because I think about the busking guy, like 20 quid after being in the rain all day, and actually, being in the comfort of his own home or in his own studio, and making anywhere, or starting to make $2,500 a month, and potentially, like you said, 5,000 and more thereafter.
So that's one example. That's a singer, right?
Yeah.
Like the other demographic has been helped a lot from this. And we've got, in our agency, we've got quite a lot of single moms, right? Who basically, they struggle, they can't go to work because they're a single parent.
Yeah.
So they're struggling to manage the hours to go to work and stuff. And so what we've been able to do is work with lots of single moms and teach them how to become professional streamers. And some of them are making way more money, like, than they ever made in any job. So, and I'm talking like, honestly, some of the moms, and everybody loves moms, right? Like, everybody loves moms, I kid you not, right? But some of the moms are making like $10,000 to $20,000 dollars a month on TikTok Live, right? And what they're doing is they're streaming at night. So they'll come on at around 9, 10 p.m. and they'll go until about midnight, because during the day, they're just too busy with the school drop and all the stuff they have to do and keep the house going and, make sure like their kids are fine and all that stuff. So that's another demographic. Like, those two are probably the ones I'm proud of the most, is that we've been able to help a lot of single moms who have been worried about where their income is going to come from. And then again, singers who are just like on the street trying to kind of make it in a very tough industry. But, having been able to change their lives, it's a really good feeling. That is, that makes me really happy.
And I think that's really lovely to hear, isn't it, guys? Like, when you hear about, social media being able to make lives better, I think that's something that, each and every one of us, we're always wanting to help people. That's what we do as a service-based businesses. So to be able to see that something like TikTok, which has had a lot of bad press, especially in 2023, but actually does have the ability to change lives. So.
Yeah, exactly. Look, here's the thing with like bad press and things around social media. They've all had it. Like, Instagram had it. Like, if you Google like how much someone like Instagram has been fined, right? You'll be shocked. Like, it's just that, you just probably don't remember seeing it, or it was so long ago. TikTok has it as well, and others, Google has been, like, times have come out and said Google's done this and Google's done that. And this has been going on since like, the last 20 years or whatever. Social media is always going to be a place where there's going to be good people and not so good people, right? There's always going to be trolls. Like, that's never going away. If you want to do social media and you want to be an influencer, then you have to develop a bit of a thicker skin and to ignore the bad bits of it. like it's social media, it's led by people. So, there's always going to be disagreements. There's always going to be trolling. There's always going to be all of these things. As far as I'm concerned, I've seen enough to see that they do, not just TikTok. TikTok is one example, but a lot of the social media companies, they do their best to reduce these things, but it's never going to go away. And unfortunately, that is the way it is. But we live in a world where social media is key for business. It's key for people now. He does connect people.
Yeah.
So you just got to take the good and really ignore the bad.
Yeah. Right. Quick fire round. Who wants to go?
I'll go first. What do you love most about TikTok?
What do I love most about TikTok Live? Oh, TikTok, just TikTok.
TikTok in general, yeah.
Do you know what? It's the changing lines bit again, which I never had exposure to before until we kind of started the TikTok live streaming thing, where we talk to a lot of creators and what it's done for them. That's my kind of favorite bit about TikTok. If we're talking about like functionalities, I think what you can, what you're able to do just from the video editing platform within it, I think that's really cool. Like, and how you're able to kind of you can make any type of post. The video editing has just become readily available to everybody, right? Whereas before you needed Camtasia and you needed this and that. Oh, I want to have to get this person to help me do these edits, but you can actually do all of them yourself. And TikTok owns CapCut as well, which is a fantastic tool. So, like that as well. So I think the video editing capabilities has definitely made it available to everyone. But the lives I've seen changed. That's probably my favorite thing.
Excellent.
Vish?
Better sound quality or better video quality?
I think I'd say sound first, right? Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. When I scroll lives and I see a pixelated live, it really does annoy me.
Yeah.
But sound needs to come first, because TikTok Live is all about interaction. It's about you and your viewers and interacting with your viewers. So sound comes first.
Good.
Who are you most inspired by?
Oh, that's a really good question. Who am I most inspired by? I want to say him because I just think he's all right. He's not a liked guy at the minute, but Elon Musk really inspires me because he breaks boundaries all the time. Okay, there's lots of bad stuff about him, but if you look at his autobiography and things like that, like this guy just talks about work ethic, and I believe in work ethic. I don't think you can achieve things without having this relentless work ethic. So Elon Musk, my dad, and who else?
You won't say me because
Doesn't have to be more than two.
Oh yeah, I think I'll go with those. I'll go with those. Yeah, like Elon Musk. He's done incredible things. How do you take a rocket and then make it land?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean, and even like there are others though back in the day, like Rupert Murdoch. Imagine that guy. He went home, said to his family, guys, I'm going to put a satellite in the sky, right? And everybody's going to get like TV, like channels they never had before, right? Do you mean like when he went upstairs, his mum and dad were probably like, he's just off his rocker, isn't he? This is what I mean. Like nobody ever believes it.
Yeah.
Will they see it? Only that person. And those are great examples of that. I think my dad as well, because like I've seen him really persevere through a lot of hard times.
Yeah.
And like even like when like he's had times where, like he had Guillain-Barré as a condition, which doctors didn't think he was going to recover from or start walking from it again and things like that. And that's always been a very big motivational driver for me, because he just refused to lose in that instance and said, well, no, I am going to walk again. And he did. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think that is probably my biggest inspiration. And it's really a lot of where my motivational drive comes from, because I have to remind myself, even on a bad day, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Sarah, one more quick fire.
Trying to struggle and think of something.
Where
do you spend most of your time on social media? Is it on TikTok?
TikTok Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there day and night. In fact,
Probably too much according to his wife.
my wife hates me because I spend so much time on TikTok Live. Like, it takes a while. You do need to spend time on it, like with your creators, and watch what they're doing, see if you have any ideas to make them better. Are they doing something wrong that they shouldn't be doing? Lots of things. Like, we spend way too many hours on TikTok Live. But as an agency, it's what we have to do. And we just want to make sure our creators do well. Yeah. So I definitely spend a lot of time there. I think second most place I spend is LinkedIn.
Okay.
So as
I'm glad you said that.
So growing up, which sibling got in more trouble, you or Danita?
Shit, it was me, isn't it?
Definitely.
It was definitely me. There are lots of things.
I mean, there's three of us. There's also my other brother, Dav. So
yeah, but Dav's an angel.
No, it's not.
But yeah, Dip's definitely got into more trouble. I
got into a lot of trouble. I probably pushed
boundaries.
Yeah. As a third kid, I probably got away with more as well.
Out of your three kids, who's your favourite? No, I'm only joking. Yeah, favorite book.
Favorite book. God, you know what? I wasn't even ready for a question like that. I've read a lot of books. Right? One of my favorite books is The Game by Neil Strauss. It's got nothing to do with business, right? And that's it's one of the favorite books, one of my favorite books. I've enjoyed reading it so much, right? And
so many times as well, right?
Yeah, but there's so many lessons to business in it too, right? Because you're like, oh wait, this is like the whole book is basically psychology, right?
Yep.
That's what it is, and that psychology can be moved around into other parts of your life. No problem.
Oh yeah. That's what got me into NLP, actually, funnily enough. The Game by Neil Strauss. Yeah. Because it obviously it talks about NLP in there so much. And I was like, I need to do this NLP stuff. And then I went and learn it. And then I started helping my sales teams with it. And then I was like, actually, I need to learn it properly. Because they talk about anchoring. They talk about, eliciting, happy states. And they talk about, building rapport with people. Like, it is so deep in NLP. And if you haven't read it, go and read it. It's shameless plug for Neil Strauss, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. But you know what? As a kid, you should read it as well. Like, even whether you're a woman or man, you should read that.
Yep. I'm giving it some.
It's going to open your eyes to. Yeah. It's going to make you so much more aware.
I bought books for my girl mates, and I was like, you guys need to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Apparently there's a book about the game as well, isn't there? So there you go.
Oh, is there? All right.
Yeah, there is. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, TikTok is such a huge. I'm sure we'll have you back on because I think as we go further into 2024, and I think there'll be an opportunity for you to come back and let us know what's changed and what's going on. So thank you so much. If people want to get in touch with you, Dipesh, what's the best way? Where can they find you?
Well, Gravitas Q @Gravitas Q on TikTok. That's a great way to reach us. And otherwise, find me on LinkedIn. Drop me a message. I meet a lot of people on LinkedIn, like through DMs. It's so weird. Like they send me a message, I start chatting to them, and so that's a great way to reach out as well.
Awesome,
guys. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I hope I didn't talk too much. And I'll go.
Well, given this podcast is nearly an hour long, I think you might have done, but it was all worthwhile. So thank you guys again. Remember to give us a follow on the Ultimate Marketing Podcast. We're available on all major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. We're also available on YouTube. Go and follow and subscribe. Click the bell so that you know every time a new episode is released. And really, that's it for this episode. For myself, Sarah, and Vish. Any final words, both of you two?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that with us.
Once I sort my audio issues out, I'll be back.
Yes, Vish.
He will be. All right, brilliant. See you until next time. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.